booktube family. It's been a hot minute since I've done a long form video, so I figured that I would come back with an absolute banger for you guys. But before we get into that, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and hit the bell notification. That way you get notified when I post a new video. With the bang, I have the privilege to sit down with one of the greatest epic fantasy authors of all time in John Gwynne. This was honestly the first time that I was ever starstruck when I was actually in front of a camera with him. And let me just say this, it was such a fun and awesome time. John gave us insight on his past books, his newest book that he actually just sent off to publishing, and all things John Gwynne in the world of John Gwynne. So have a seat, sit back, relax, and enjoy the interview. And as always, happy reading.
Mr. John Gwynne, thank you so much for joining. This has been a long time in the making, so I'm excited. Thank you so much for granting me some of your time. I know you're very busy.
It's my absolute pleasure, Miles. Thanks for the invite. And yeah, I'm glad we managed to finally sort out a date where we can do this. It's great to be talking to you.
Absolutely, yeah. I know. We were coordinating for a while, and it's funny because I knew you were in the UK, but like I said to you earlier, a while back, is when I interviewed Ryan, we got into a whole time discrepancy. I thought he was in Ireland. He was like, "No, I'm in New Zealand." I'm like, "Oh," so that kind of shifts things around. So
yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So yes, sir. Thank you so much again. For those who do not know, this is the ever so great and powerful John Gwynne himself, multi-time award winner for his best-selling books. We've got the Bloodsworn Trilogy. Well, actually, congratulations to, I believe it was 1 million copies sold worldwide.
Yeah.
That's yeah, pretty big number and counting. I'm more than certain that's growing. Also, we got A Blood and Bone, and as well as Faithful and the Fallen. So you have been doing a vast amount of work that we've all appreciated throughout, your stories. And again, just want to thank you so much for your time. This is going to be awesome. I'm kind of starstruck. All right, I'm not gonna lie to you, Mr. Grant. I'm kind of starstruck here.
There's no need for that, Miles. Really, we're just all readers here, aren't we? I write because I love reading. We all just love reading.
That's it. Well, Mr. Gwynne, let's jump right into it. Typically, I like to get to know the authors as a person, what kind of inspired them, what got them going. So my first question for you is, what first drew you to fantasy as a reader, not as an author, but as a reader? What first drew you to that space?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I can remember very clearly being maybe 8 to 9 years old at school. And I don't know if you have that thing. Well, but a teacher used to gather all the children around for like a story time at school. And I remember one of those times, and the teacher pulled out a book which was called The Book of Three by Lloyd Alexander. And it was book one of the Prydain Chronicles. Some people might know it better by the Disney movie, The Black Cauldron.
Okay.
And that was books 1 and 2 combined of that series. But he started reading from this book, The Book of Three, and I was just hooked straight away. I fell in love with it. And it was inspired by, I didn't know at the time, but it's inspired by Welsh mythology. But so I went home and I pestered my mum. I was like, "Please, can you get me this book?" And, nearest town, and she bought me the trilogy. And I was so in love with the world. I remember that very clearly as my kind of gateway into fantasy. And then my sister, who was a little older than me, she said, "Oh, if you like that, you might like this." And she gave me The Hobbit. So so that was really. I mean, that I was in and hooked from that point on.
It just kind of snowballed after that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of fantasy readers do the same. So I loved those classics, the Book of Three and the Chronicles of Prydain, then The Hobbit, onto the Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah, sure.
All those kind of gateway fantasies which were huge at the time, and then on top of that, I kind of had a fascination grew with mythology, which is really, it's a type of fantasy in a way. So I started kind of dipping into Arthurian mythology and Greek mythology, Norse mythology, And so you know, I just became a bookworm really, and I always had my nose in the book, and it was either something to do with fantasy or something to do with mythology.
That's awesome. That's awesome, and it all just we really get that sense when we read your stories as well, is that very heavy mythology base within, but it's kind of just woven into your stories, which is absolutely awesome. I love that. Yeah. Now, pivoting from there into you becoming an author, was there a moment in time where you thought to yourself, I think I'm going to sit down and just start jotting down ideas or start doing research on a certain time period? Or when did that kind of switch start happening?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think my story was probably a little bit different from a lot of the people that I meet. I didn't start writing till much later on in life, in my 30s. I just never thought, it never entered my mind that I could be, you know, a writer of novels. But I was a teacher at a local university, and my daughter Harriet was she was profoundly disabled, and she was quite unwell at the time. So I took some time out of teaching to help my wife, who cared for her Harriet from home. So I took some time off to help out at home and be around. And 6 months kind of turned into a year, turned into 18 months, and I realised, I don't think I can really go back to teaching. I need to be at home for my family. So I mucked in with my wife, because she ran an antiques vintage business from home that she'd set up so that she could, you know, have an income plus looking after Harry. So I just started helping her, but I wasn't very good at it. I'm not very practical.
Right.
Yes, I had a bit more of a kind of an academic brain, and so I just said, just a passing comment. I said, I think I need a hobby that I can do from home that kind of keeps my academic / geeky brain engaged.
Right. It's something going right.
Yeah. And so my wife said, why don't you try writing a book? Because you're always telling stories to the children. And I said, don't be silly.
Don't be silly. Right.
Ridiculous. I couldn't write a book. And this was, it was a very specific moment. We'd just come back from seeing the Two Towers.
Nice.
At the cinema. So it was 2002, I believe. And we were sitting around the table, and my wife Caroline had said, why don't you try writing a book? And I said, don't be silly, I couldn't do that. and two of my sons said, oh, go on, Dad, please. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe it'll be fun, I'll give it a go. And that is literally where Malice was born. I kind of got pen and paper out. I said, what would you like to see in a book if I wrote it? And we all kind of brainstormed some ideas. And that was the beginning of Malice.
Wow. And that was it. So it wasn't a moment where it was just, okay, why not? Let's give this a try and see where it goes. And
exactly, yeah. It was just a hobby. I was just doing it, really writing for myself and my family. I thought I had a captive audience, so I was going to read it to my children whether they liked it or not.
Sure, yeah, no, that's amazing, because it goes to show, just trying an idea, just starting something, and just whether it be a hobby or not, just seeing, let me just write down some ideas and just see what happens. And in your case, it's blossomed into this. Did you ever think at that time or any time that it would get to this point?
Not in a million years. I really didn't. I mean, occasionally you daydream about seeing a book published and on a shelf in a book.
Absolutely.
It was only ever a daydream. I never thought it would be a reality. So it was just. I'm still in shock, to be honest. I wake up every day and think, did I dream that? Am I really doing this for a living? Is this my job? Because I feel profoundly fortunate and blessed.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I love to hear that. Now, because I know you were traditionally published, falling into that, but what was the hardest part about getting your first book published rather? I'm sure there were maybe some crossroads or maybe some hurdles that you had to jump through, but how did that whole process go?
Sure. Well, I mean, I finished Malice. It took me quite a while because I was writing it kind of in between work and looking after my daughter, and so it took a few years to get Malice done. But towards the end of it, my wife said, "I think this is quite good. I think you should send it off to try and see if you can get it published." So I had no idea how to go about that. So I started Googling it, and I discovered that you need an agent to get published by a traditional publisher in the UK. So I started looking up agents, found an agent that that seemed to fit my kind of style of writing. Sent Malice off to him. He took me on as a client. He sent it off to the Big Five, and we got an offer from Pan Macmillan. So it's all really like fairy tale. Really.
it all just flowed. It all just
yeah. I mean, I'm still in shock about it. And that's where it began. I got an offer for 2 books. I'd always said that The Faithful and the Fallen would be 4 books, but publishers are with me. They tend to be cautious. So they offered me a deal for the first 2 to see how they would go.
Right.
Unfortunately, they sold well enough that they offered me another deal for the second 2. So we finished the series, and it's kind of gone from there.
Just a whole snowball effect. That's crazy. I can only imagine that you wake up and pinch yourself to just wow, like this is started from here, and now that's unbelievable.
I do, Miles. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, just speaking to Mr. Gwynne here. Now, who were some?
Please call me John.
And it's like you're one of my favorite, and I'm gonna just gush for a minute. You have been one of my favorite, if not the favorite, of fantasy authors for a very long time. There was a point where I wanted to get back into fantasy. I don't know what to read. I don't know where to start. And I was in the library, and I saw Malice, and that's when I picked it up and started reading. I was like, "What is this? Like, this is a different. This is what fantasy should be like. This is what I look for in fantasy." So it's I don't know. It's crazy that I'm talking to you face to face. I'm still just trying to. This is awesome. So I appreciate you. Backing up a little bit, Mr. John. So who were your biggest creative influences growing up? Whether it be authors, music, movies, absolutely anything. What were some things that started putting those creative pieces together for you, figures or whatever?
Okay, yeah. Well, book-wise, I mean, I always mention there's 3 writers that really inspired me, I think, for my writing. The first was Tolkien.
Yes, absolutely.
I just loved that kind of epic sense that this world is real and it's got depth.
Right.
I love Tolkien's just the epicness of his writing. I also love David Gemmell.
Mm-hmm.
I remember reading Legend, his first book, when it came out. I was a teenager then, and it was the first book that I stayed up all night to finish because I just had to know what happened.
Right.
I loved his sense of pacing. I loved his sense of flawed characters. I mean, that's kind of expanded over the years, but at the time it was very fresh and quite new. So I always loved Gemmell. And another writer that I love dearly is Bernard Cornwell.
Okay.
So he's not a fantasy writer; he's a historical novelist. But he wrote a trilogy about King Arthur, called the Winter King, the Warlord Chronicles, and he wrote them as if they were history. But there's just like a smattering of fantasy and magic in them.
Right. Okay.
But so he wrote the most incredible battle scenes that I'd ever read. From like
because yours are I want to take Longclaw off the wall and just start charging because your battle scenes as well is just they're intense. And I'm gonna get to that point in a little bit, but we all get that from your battle scenes. We're just like, ooh, these are.
Thank you. I'm really pleased to hear that. You know,
Oh yeah.
It's something I try to do. I mean, those are the kind of the writers that really inspired me. I mean, there's a lot. There's so many writers, and everything I read, you know, there's inspiration in now. There's so many great contemporary writers around now as well. But in terms of films inspire me a lot as well. You know, it's one of my favourite memories is watching films with my dad. You know, it just makes me feel very warm and nostalgic thinking back to those times. And
absolutely,
we used to sit down and he'd show me films like Spartacus, for example.
Sure.
You know, Douglas, which you know, that had, you know, a profound effect on me, and so I think that my love of history kind of started there. And more contemporary historical films like Braveheart was when I remember going to see Braveheart, and at the time that was a really big deal because kind of historical films weren't happening at that time.
Yeah,
and the way that it portrayed combat as something that wasn't heroic and shiny, you know, but it showed it in its kind of bone crunching horror.
Right. Absolutely.
That had an effect on me as well. I think that, you know, I tried to capture that sense in how I write battle scenes. Films like Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah. Oh.
Like Gladiator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
okay.
All those kind of movies. They all kind of. I find all of those inspiring as well for my writing.
Absolutely, in their own ways, shapes, and forms. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Jumping to now you have textual writing and whatnot. What was the very first image or idea that sparked the Faithful and the Fallen and or the Bloodsworn Trilogy? Was there? I know that you at first it was just ideas that you were writing down for Faithful and the Fallen, but in particular to the Bloodsworn, what sparked that first idea? What was that first image that you? Because I'm assuming you completed Faithful and the Fallen first.
Yes.
And then did you do a Blood and Bone after, or did you do that before?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was that like pivoting from there to the other series?
Sure. Well, I have this. So I have the same process for writing, whatever my project is, and really, I mean, every writer just finds their own way. You know,
right.
There's no like this is how you write and this is what you should do. We all find our own way, but for me, when you know, my family suggested I try writing a book, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. I sat down in front of the blank page and thought, I don't know what to do. How do I do this? So I thought the only way I know how to write is how I learned at uni. And I had a great lecturer, and his mantra was always, to pass your degree, you need to read, and then you need to read, and then you need to read some more.
Right.
Of course, he's talking about research for your degree. So I thought, well, okay, that's what I'll do for my novel. So I thought, what am I passionate about? So I thought, okay, I'm passionate about mythology and history. So I'm going to kind of take a mythological element and a historical element and try and kind of just get inspiration from them. So I looked into it was like Iron Age Europe, kind of Boudicca's revolt, Caesar's Gallic War, that kind of historical time period. And I looked into Celtic mythology to start off with.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I focused my research. And as I was doing that, I was just kind of get ideas starting to spark.
Right.
Working, you know, I knew that I wanted to write something multi-point of view, because I wanted to see both sides of the conflict, you know, not just from one person's point of view. I wanted to see the conflict, you know, all the way around.
Yeah.
So I just threw myself into research and started kind of crafting a world which I hoped felt like a mythological version of ancient Europe, you know, with that sense of history, that sense of Celtic culture, the Celtic warrior culture, of the kind of of the new Roman influence, and obviously as I went through the series, there was a lot of Norse influence that started creeping into it as
Oh
well.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So that was the Faithful and the Fallen, and so with and of Blood and Bone was really, it's a follow up.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Set in the same world, just 100 years later.
Mm-hmm.
But when I moved from the Faithful and the Fallen to the Bloodsworn saga, I just basically applied the same principle, because I have a really deep and abiding love for Norse mythology and Viking era history. So I just threw myself into that research. Researching all of the poetic Edda and the Icelandic sagas and all that kind of stuff, and I'd taken up Viking reenactment by that time as well. So I was doing a bit of kind of fighting in the Shield Wall as well. So it all kind of just goes into the pot.
I love that. Yeah, I'm a very big history buff, European history lover myself. I grew up from Germany, so I'm was very involved in that kind of, as a kid, we would go to the medieval festivals and the actual ruins and the castles, and I was doing all of this different types of reading of German and Normandic history and the Roman history that came into to Cologne. I was always so immersed in that world. So I think that's
brilliant.
Oh yes, I'm yeah, very people are like, wait, what? No, I was very immersed in that world. So I think that's the biggest thing that I take away from your stories, is because I've seen these things in respect to the ruins and the artifacts. I've read all about this, so I think that's why I just gravitated to your writing so much. I was like, John Gwynne, he knows, he's done his research, and that's why I just love your writing, because of all that you put into it. There's a lot of research, especially for the books that you've written. I can only imagine how much research you have to do, reading up on historical facts and the mythology and whatnot that you have to incorporate into your book. So that's awesome. I love that. Love that. When you start a new series, do you always go with the approach of doing research first, and then does the actual world come together later? How does that process go for you?
Yeah, usually I have an idea of kind of elements that I want to fit into it. So, for example, with the Bloodsworn, I knew that I wanted to write a story that had a strong element of kind of a Beowulf framework, with they're like a mercenary band of monster hunters.
Yeah.
So I knew that that's what I wanted at the heart of the story. But really, I just kind of take a few months out to just read, and that was the kind of the skeleton of the story in my mind, and then you just start building the world around that idea, and hopefully characters and a story comes that's interesting. But it always starts with research for me.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Your now we talked about this briefly beforehand, but your battle scenes in your stories, I didn't know what word to use to describe them, so I picked the word legendary, because they are legendary scenes. How do you approach? They're amazing. Like they're crazy. How do you approach writing realistic and emotionally charged fight scenes?
I mean, it's something that I don't have a science for it. A lot of it comes from a gut feeling. But that I took up Viking reenactment just to try and give me kind of some authentic layers to the knowledge that I put into it. So that, and doing reenactment I think has really helped me to write combat.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things involved that you just don't really think about.
Right.
Unless you've done a little bit of it. So hopefully that kind of comes through. Like how much a coat of mail weighs, and the kind of the little tricks about how you get it on and off. I mean, I'll tell you something. Getting into a coat of mail isn't easy.
I wouldn't think so.
I remember the first time I tried a coat of mail on, we were at doing exactly what you said. My family, we would always go to like medieval festivals and we at this time we were at a reenactment of the Battle of Hastings, which we live quite close to. So we were there, and there's like a traders fair of craftsmen, people that make reenactment kits, helmets, shields, swords, everything that you would need to be a reenactor. There's people that make it that are there selling their stuff, and so I thought I really want a coat of mail, So I found a great guy who makes them by hand himself.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a German guy, really lovely bloke. And he pulled his coat of mail down for me. My son Ed and my wife Caroline were helping me get into it. But it doesn't have buttons, doesn't have zips, so you have to kind of slither into it.
You do the wiggle.
And you do a wiggle, and you let gravity kind of pull it down. But I got stuck. I got stuck. So I was in it. It was on my head. I had one arm in a sleeve, but the other arm couldn't find the other sleeve, and it was kind of wrapped around my head.
Oh gosh!
And we're in the middle of this reenactment, and I started feeling a bit like claustrophobic. And I remember saying, "Help!" to my wife and my son, thinking they would help me. And then there's this silence, and then all I can hear is people laughing.
Oh gosh!
I can't see anything. I hear my wife laughing, I hear my son laughing, and then I hear more people laughing. And what had happened was a crowd had gathered around just for the entertainment.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
we'll let them struggle for a few more minutes, and then
exactly.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, that people. I've never tried it on, but I've seen them craft it link by link, and I've seen a bunch of ways, and I was like, there's no way that these guys, these warriors will put this on and wear it for extensive amounts of time. Like, it's crazy. So chainmail, it's and even in your books too, you even talk about like how you clean it properly. Without like rusting, and when going back to what you're saying about those tiny minute details that people wouldn't know about unless they've done it, worn it, cleaned it, that's very, very detrimental, especially in storytelling. So that's amazing. Regarding your characters, the characters and emotions, which character for you was the hardest to write, if any?
I always choose characters that have some element that I find interesting.
Right.
So I don't think I don't think I'd use the word hard, because I always enjoy writing through their eyes. Usually the way I write is I do my research and I come up with a story, and then I kind of start thinking about characters that would be interesting to see the story through their eyes.
Right.
So that's usually I really enjoy that part of it. Seeing kind of different perspectives on the same events. What the difficult part is when you're writing multiple point of view is to keep all those kind of points of view moving forward in the story, so that none of them, you don't want any of them to be treading water.
Right.
You want them to be doing something in every chapter. That's the challenge really for writing multiple points of view. I've always enjoyed writing my characters. Even maybe the bad guys are almost more fun to write than the good guys.
Oh, I believe that. Oh yeah.
Characters like Guthvar in the Bloodsworn was a lot of fun to write, and Lycus was lots of fun in the Faithful and the Fallen.
That's awesome. Are there any characters that you still think about from time to time that you've written after finishing a story? Like, oh man, like I was like this was like I love this character so much, and any thoughts that kind of like glide over to them? Do you still think about certain characters in any one of your stories, whether it be Bloodsworn, Faithful, Blood and Bone?
Oh, definitely. Orca was I really enjoyed writing Orca's story. I think, and I do. I'm kind of drawn back to back to her character. So, to the point where I've even thought about writing maybe a standalone or a novella. Just about her.
The feedback that I've seen just from Orca alone and her character. I mean, you ask anybody who's read the Bloodsworn Trilogy who your favorite character is, 9 times out of 10 they're going to say Orca, which I can completely relate to because her character is just so. I don't want to say complex, but it's that big mama bear that everyone has had in their life, or they know that if anything happened, Mama's going to take care of it. Orca is one that really stood out to me as well. I love her character.
Yeah, she was inspired really by my wife Caroline. Not the axe wielding part,
right.
but she just has that fierce love that she would just cross oceans, and do anything for her children.
It's amazing. How do you balance writing, morally gray characters while keeping readers emotionally invested in your stories?
That's a great question, Miles. That's so what I try to do with all the characters, whether you think they're like a traditional good guy, bad guy, I try to write them so that you would understand the logic, the rationale that they're kind of convincing themselves of as to why they do the things they do. So in The Fair, for example, in The Faithful and the Fallen, was kind of a classic bad guy in the end. But I wanted to write his story so that he didn't just start off as an evil person.
Right.
Hopefully, there's a complexity to him, and the choices that he made kind of lead him. I think what's the saying? It's the road to hell is made of 1,000 small steps, or something like that. Where it's you don't just become a bad guy. It's more complex.
It's a process.
Yeah,
absolutely. Now, many of your stories explore themes of loyalty, which is a big one, loss, and destiny. Were there certain moments in your life that drew you to having those main pillars, of writing your books? Is there anything that kind of inspired that, or a reason as why you put those, I don't want to say heavier attributes into your story, but they are in some cases. But was there any point that kind of inspired that, and how you created those? What's the word I'm looking for here? Those attributes for your stories.
Sure. Well, yes. If because I wrote The Faithful and the Fallen as a hobby, really, just for my family. I was really writing it as something that I wanted to leave for my children. That if they read it after I was gone, that they'd kind of see something in it of my kind of life philosophy, if you like. Right. And my life philosophy really is live and let live, and love your family, love your friends, have some truth and courage. And so family and friendship were really kind of, they've always been what's important to me as a person. And I wanted just to write a story that communicated that, but not in a heavy-handed way, And so those themes will always be in my books. They're in The Faithful and the Fallen, but they're also, in everything, in Blood and Bone. They're in the Bloodsworn. And those themes are very dear to me.
Absolutely.
So they just kind of. I don't think I could write something that didn't have them. They're just part of who I am. So they just come out in what I write. I think.
Absolutely. Now, what's a lesson from Norse Celtic mythology that's deeply influenced in your storytelling?
A lesson. Well, crikey! Oh, there's so many.
Any one of them.
So I love in Norse mythology the kind of the pragmatic sense of humour that that you see running through Norse mythology.
Yeah,
and you know, in the Norse myths, they're all heading towards Ragnarok, this end of days battle, and they already have the prophecy. Odin knew the prophecy that he was going to die. That most of the gods were going to die, but so it's almost I think there's that kind of thread in Norse culture as well, that times are hard and they might not get any better, but we're going to laugh anyway. And I really love that there's this kind of this sense of humor that runs through Norse mythology, and just kind of maintaining that spirit no matter how hard things get.
That's a big one. That's definitely a big one, and one that I feel that's needed, especially in these crazy times that we're currently living in right now. I feel like that's very, very needed and necessary. So that's awesome. Now, I know this may be a common thing in regards to writing, but do any of your characters ever surprise you or take a story in a direction that you initially didn't plan?
Oh, absolutely, all the time. Yeah, all the time. I've there's many times when I've gone to write a scene and thought, well, hold on, this character wouldn't do that. And so you kind of backtrack a bit, and they'll lead you in a different direction.
Right.
Usually when I write a story, I have I I don't plot it out in minute detail, but I have kind of key events that I point my characters towards, but I let them lead me. It's kind of like opening the gates in a horse race. You pull the gates out and the animals and they run out of the gates, but after that I try to follow them
right
as they make their way to the big events that I'm hoping are going to happen, and then kind of find their own way to those events.
Okay, gotcha. Yes,
they
let them pull you to whatever direction that it's naturally going to go.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. So they can surprise you sometimes, and they do things that you didn't think they were going to do. Sometimes you'll get to a point where you thought they were going to do something, but that just wouldn't be consistent with the character that they've become since you start writing. So that's part of the fun of writing, I suppose. It's it keeps you on your toes.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely does. I can only imagine how, and it also shows how true you are to these characters, not having them do anything that they wouldn't naturally do, or that's just not in them to do. I feel like that's another thing that really stands out in character work. If Orca did something completely out of character, we were like, wait, she wouldn't do that, or she wouldn't. I don't think she would have went that direction. So I think that's a very big thing, is just staying true to the characters and what they actually would do, which is awesome.
Yeah, and just their personalities. When I first started writing Orca, she had a lot more dialogue. But I as I read back over it, I thought, no, this isn't who she is. She wouldn't be explaining so much.
Yeah.
She keeps it all. So I stripped her dialogue right back, and her dialogue is very kind of short sentences, few words. She might have more going on in her head, like an internal monologue, but I cut a lot of her dialogue out when I read it back.
Absolutely. Okay. Now I have this little just to kind of break the ice more so, not book related questions, but just some fun questions to ask. Just to keep it light, keep it fun, keep it fresh. So first question, and then we'll answer a handful of questions that anybody has. If anyone has a question, please leave it in the comment section. We'll go through a few of those. But Mr. John Gwynne, what do you typically like to read outside of fantasy or anything else? And what are you currently reading, if anything at all? I know a lot. I talk to a lot of authors, and they're like, "Oh, I don't like reading because I'm always writing." I feel like that's not the case with you. Do you like to read while you write, or how's that look?
Oh, I mean, I love to read. You know, I'm a writer because I'm a reader. That's why I write. It's because I love reading. So it is one of the sad ironies when you're working professionally, you don't get as much time to read as you like, and And as I've said, a lot of my reading time is taken up with research.
Absolutely.
But I still try to squeeze in, as much kind of reading for pleasure as I can.
Absolutely.
Usually at bedtime, I'll be reading.
Yeah, sure.
Reading at bedtime.
Now there was an uproar. We see that you're immersed into Pierce Brown's world now.
Oh my word!
Crazy, right?
Oh my word! It's just fantastic.
Yeah,
fantastic. It's been one of those series which I've obviously have heard loads about.
Oh yeah,
it's been on my shelf for a long time, but I've never, just for whatever reasons, not got around to picking it up. But wow, I've just finished. I've just finished Morning Star.
Yeah, that one is Golden Sun and Morning Star. Really, even Red Rising, but Golden Sun and Morning Star really do its.
Incredible. I mean, writing and reading is subjective. So some people love some people it's gold, and some people, everyone has their opinion. But for me, Golden Sun and Morning Star are perfect. They're like, there's just nothing better than that. They are perfection in words. Really, the characters, the pacing. I mean, I'm not a fussy reader. I don't have like criteria that I have. For me, when I'm reading, if it makes me feel, then it's a 5-star book for me. If it makes me feel the emotions, and I'm hooked and I'm thinking about it, then that's it. It's 5 stars for me. But and those books made me feel a lot.
Oh yeah. Now, are you planning on continuing? Are you gonna jump into the following 3? Because those ones are just off of that. I know Iron Gold, Dark Age, and Lightbringer are just. I think you'll have a time with those as well. It's whenever you get to those ones.
Yeah. I'm having a little break from them now, and I'm reading. I've just started J. Kristoff's Empire of the Dawn.
That's so funny because. This is what I'm reading next, The Empire of the Vampire. So that's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for that one. People have been yelling at me, you got to read J. Kristoff's Empire of the Vampire series. And I was like, what perfect time in October to jump into that series. So that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Fantastic series. Really just top tier. It's fantastic.
That's great. Now, if you weren't still writing or weren't an author, what would you be doing right now? Would you still be working at the local university? Would you try to venture into another hobby that you would probably try delving into? What would Mr. John Gwynne be doing outside of writing?
Oh, I mean, I'd imagine I would just still be teaching. Still be teaching, but just doing all the things that we do anyway. The medieval fairs,
absolutely,
movies, history,
the normal stuff. Yeah. I love that. That's really
and of course my wife is animal mad.
Oh yeah.
So we've got sheep and goats. Some are in the garden.
Okay.
So we spend a lot of time kind of looking after animals as well.
That's amazing. The burning question that everyone is asking right now, if you're seeing them, what is the next, or are you working on another project? Everyone's asking about any new books in the works. Is there anything that you are currently working on that you're willing to share? If it's top secret, please keep it top secret. But everyone's asking, what's next for Mr. John Gwynne?
Okay, so yes, well, I can tell you a little bit. Probably can't tell you too much, but I have literally just finished a new novel.
Okay. Awesome.
Finished it just over a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's similar to what I do in that it's inspired by a particular mythology, inspired by a particular historical period.
Mm-hmm.
And this one it's really inspired by my daughter Harriet.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you're aware, but my daughter died a few years ago, Harriet. And so everything I've written, really, she's been an inspiration.
Absolutely.
In a way, but this book, much more so. She's really at the heart of it.
Absolutely. That's beautiful, and I'm sure it'll be an amazing piece of work that we all will appreciate in many ways, shapes, and forms. So thank you for letting us know that. I'm sure everyone's excited for that one, whenever that comes. That's absolutely beautiful. Now, lastly, just another fun question for you. Do you prefer morning writing or late night writing? I know every author has a preference, but what is the time of day that Mr. John Gwynne pounds the paper? What time of day is that looking at?
Probably morning.
The morning? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, probably morning. I mean, my writing routine is, I just squeeze it around whatever's going on, So, but I like to have big chunks of time.
Absolutely.
If possible, to writing rather than kind of half an hour here or there. I like to put away a good few hours.
Yeah.
For a session.
Sure.
But probably more in the morning than in the evening. I'm quite happy to write in both.
Yeah. Right.
If I'm getting a bit behind on a deadline, then I'm happy to work later. It's not really a problem for me. But naturally, probably more in the day.
Absolutely. Now, could you ever see? I know you when your son just got married. Congratulations! I saw they popped in here. Congratulations to that. That wedding actually looked amazing. They looked absolutely beautiful and stunning. And then you were doing a tour in Europe, right? Where you were on a book tour.
That's right. Yeah.
Mr. Gwynne, Mr. John, would you ever consider doing a tour for all of us John Gwynne lovers in the States? Is that in the future?
I'd love to come to the States. Yeah.
That would be awesome. Everyone's like, come to it's crazy over here, but hey, we'll take care of you. Come over to America for a week or so. Let's get that going.
I'd love to do that. Usually the way these things work is your publisher in whatever country, they invite you over, and they arrange the events and so on. But
okay.
I would be very happy to come to the States too.
Yeah, we're foaming at the mouth over here. Now, for me, I go back home to Germany at least twice a year. So if you're ever in the area of Paris or anything, I always come and come to that. But I know all of your American readers are like, when is he coming to America? I don't know, guys. Oh, that's awesome. Well, Mr. John, that's all I had for you today. I didn't want to take up too much of your time. Thank you again. I can't thank you enough for joining and chatting with us for a little bit. I know your schedule's hectic, but this is absolutely lovely. Again, thank you so much. This was amazing.
It's really been my pleasure talking to you, Miles. You've been a lot of fun to talk to.
Absolutely. This is probably the highlight of the year for me. Definitely a highlight of the year for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate your work. We love your work. And again, congratulations on the big accomplishment of 1 million copies. Was it just the Bloodsworn that sold 1 million? That's amazing. Every time someone asks me, I need a fantasy book, before they even finish their sentence, I'm slapping some John Gwynne novel in their face. Read this, go away, come back to me when you finish it.
You are a good man, Mike.
They love it. They always love it. So, you're amazing, and your work is awesome, and we appreciate you. And again, we appreciate you for joining us this lovely morning over on our side of the world. This has been incredible.
Oh, thanks, Miles. I've really enjoyed it too. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And guys and girls, everyone, thank you so much. Again, this is the ever so great and powerful John Gwynne. If you have not read any of his work, please, by all means, go check out any one of his books. They're amazing. They'll knock your socks off, and they'll make you want to ride in the battle. So that's all I got.
Right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, John, again. Have a great rest of your day. And again, thank you so much.
Thanks, Martin. Thanks for whoever's been watching.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, John.
Thank you.